So now that I've got the ceiling on, what I need to do is I need to put the spars in. So what I've done is I've test fitted the spars. You can see these black marks here. These black marks are the tops of the spars. I've also drilled some pilot holes for some screws that will go in this way, and did a countersink on them so that the screw heads won't stick up. And so what I'm going to do is I'll just glue these in, and do that right now. Pretty simple. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll just continue on up the body of the teardrop. Alright, all the spars are on, with the exception of this oak one back here. I'm going to do that one a little later, but there's all the spars. The next thing I'm going to do is put some cross braces here. This is where the fan will go, so the cabin fan will go right there. Okay, I've taken the just some pieces here, and I've created a little frame to put this this fan in. This hole right here is to put the wires through. So here's what the fan looks like, and it'll just drop in there like that. Of course, it'll drop all the way in. And then there's a piece of trim that comes in from the underside and goes against the ceiling. Pretty straightforward stuff. Now that I've got the spars in and they're all glued down, I'm going to put the roof supports in. These roof supports were cut out when I trimmed that middle panel in segment 3, and or I think it was segment 3 or somewhere around there. And so now I put these back in, and they just fit between the spars like this. What I had to do is they were a little bit long, and so I just trimmed them to fit roughly. And I'll just glue those in, put some clamps on them, and let those firm up, and then we'll go on to the next step. And with these, you don't have to do a super duper neat job. You just want to make sure you get plenty of glue. These will all be covered up. Just like that. And then I'll just trim off this glue on the outside. Actually, I'll probably have to run a router out here, as I didn't know the actual width of this when I cut them. I estimated what it was, so they're sitting a little bit proud here, and so I'll just run a router up over them after they're all set up. Okay, now that I got these glued on, I need to trim them. So this is where having a trim router would be really nice, but since I don't have one, I'm going to have to use my big router and just run a guide bushing along the outer edge here and trim these off. Okay, a little bit of sandpaper and that's going to be fine. Okay, now what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and cut out the hole for the fan in the top of the teardrop. So that's what I'm going for here. So what I'd like to do is I would like to cut it out and cut a slot in it and be able to get my Japanese pull saw in there. I think that'd make a nice clean cut, and it's pretty easy to control. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off trying to use this. This is my oscillating saw, and try and make the slot that I can put my Japanese saw down in there. So let's go ahead and get that started. Seemed to work pretty well. This oscillating saw works so well that I'm just going to cut the corners out with the Japanese saw and do the rest of it with this. Inside. Fan fits. And here's what it looks like from the inside. And there is a trim plate that goes around this, but so that's the fan.